Some people don't realize they got a cell phone or something else.
I think she needs to be on two. Oh, there's still, when I talk, one of these monitors may be on.
But this is on, all of these are separate.
So it's on?
This is not.
Oh, okay.
We did have a lawyer here on Friday. Our request got lost in your queue, and so Mr. Robinson came down, and this lawyer had been pressing lots of buttons to try to get on, so it may be one of those microphones is kicking back.
Sometimes it's the actual speaker on the hardware, not inside of Zoom, so I may have to check that. No, I cannot.
Okay.
Well, while he's working on that, let's chart a course for this morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for patching in on this chilly day. I hope everyone is staying safe. And if you got to somewhere outside of your house, you did so safely. We'll try to move through as quickly as we can, as the temperatures may drop a little bit more until late this afternoon. We have 3 inmates on the calendar who are here in the cells in the courtroom. At 11, we're going to have to pause this call because we have to patch in with an inmate in Department of Corrections custody, and Ms. Hall is going to need to figure out how to jump from one to another. And Mr. Franklin, the courts are going to start when the courts start. You're here. We weren't going to do anything until people got on, so no one was late if they didn't get here before 10. I got in a little before 9, and when I learned from the deputies that the 3 inmates were here, my thought was, let's start as soon as we have counsel for both sides, because these gentlemen are in the holding cells and the deputies are waiting to deal with them. If we need to wait on one of your cases, we can certainly do that.
I just wasn't sure. You normally ask for us to be in attendance on Tuesdays when inmates are brought over. And then I got a text from Ms. Hall asking me to jump on. I was getting ready to walk from my office to the court. So
it is fun. If you want to come here, we can wait on Mr. Dean. If you want to be here in person for that conversation, that's not a problem.
Yeah, I can do it from here. If I knew I could have did it from home, I would have did it all the way from home and not from the office. It's
all
okay.
Right. Sorry about that. It's a day in flux. And then we have a bunch of cases on the calendar that I suspect we'll get an announcement from Ms. Hall or a defense attorney that things have been taken care of with PTI. There's still one echo. What I'd like to do, because we may be able to get a few of the lawyers off the call pretty quickly, if we go to position 7, that's Javona Murray. And there she is. Good morning, Ms. Murray.
Hey, Judge. Good morning. Justin Spiesman from Ms. Murray.
And there's Mr. Spiesman, and we've got Ms. Hall. Ms. Hall, we put this on to see if everything was squared away with PTI. What is your understanding of where Ms. Murray got? We're good.
Good morning, Your Honor. I actually don't have an update from Mr. Spiesman, but that may be because I was sick last week, so I wasn't in. So we didn't connect, but I guess we'll be getting an update from him if his client completed everything, and we'll still be okay with the no process, but I don't have the update.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry you were ill. Hope you're feeling better. Mr. Spiesman, let me get the order up. So I'm looking at what the requirements were, and then you can tell me how things went.
Sure, Judge. I'll give you a second on that.
Thanks. Is that a fire alarm?
Sounds like it. Batteries.
Great.
I think it's in my house, Judge. I hope my wife comes home soon so she can get on that ladder and fix it.
All right, I've got the order in front of me. By January 1 of this year, Ms. Murray was to complete an anger management course and provide the state with documentation of that and pay restitution of $3,000. So how do we do with either of those?
Judge,
And,
we do have. I'm sorry, Ms. Hall, you're going to say.
go ahead. I was just going to say, I did know that the restitution hadn't been paid, but I did need to speak with Mr. Spiesman about that. Other than that, the other update will come from Mr. Spiesman.
Okay.
We have anger management done, Judge. I have a copy for the state. So she's completed that. It was the 8-hour 1-day course. In addition, Judge, I talked to Ms. Murray about restitution. She's had a bit of a financial hardship. COVID has made life difficult for everyone and they're working, but she indicated to me that she's prepared to pay $1,000 this Friday. And so what we were unsure of is how exactly the state would like for this restitution to be paid. So we're going to need a little bit more time just to satisfy the financial portion of this.
Will the $1,000 be the first payment that Ms. Murray is making?
That's right, Judge. It will be.
Okay. So Ms. Hall, tell me how you want to work through this.
I do know that the victim is, she is very interested in being repaid restitution, Your Honor. So I would like to give Ms. Murray an opportunity to do that. But maybe if we have a more clear understanding, because obviously we did have a deadline for that. So if we have a better understanding of when the entire restitution will be paid, I'm sure she'll gladly accept $1,000 that will be available this by the end of this week. But I do know she's anxious to be repaid. So I do want to give her the opportunity to pay that because that should resolve this entire case and leave everyone where they want to land in this resolution. So I at this moment, I would like to give Ms. Murray an opportunity, but I would like to figure out some type of timeline so that the victim is more comfortable or, more aware of what to expect with the restitution coming in the future.
Ms. Murray, maybe you can shed some light on when you believe that you'll be able to have these full payments completed. You're going to have to unmute.
Yes, so I can go ahead and make the 1,000 by Friday, and then I can make the rest of the payments in March.
Okay, Ms. Murray, what's going to be so special about March that didn't work in the preceding bunch of months? This order went into effect July 1, so it's been 7-8 months, and I appreciate COVID and all that. I'm just curious what's going to be so different over the next 30 days.
I'll be receiving my income tax back, so I'll definitely be able to make the rest of the payments in March.
Okay. So Ms. Hall, do you want us to put this case on an inquiry calendar maybe towards the end of March? It sounds like Mr. Spiesman can get to you ASAP proof of completion of anger management, and then you and he can sort out how Ms. Murray would pay the first third of the restitution, which she's able to do in very short order. And then we could see how things are going at the end of March. Does that make sense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And you can get an answer to Mr. Spiesman about what needs to happen, where the $1,000 needs to go, because presumably we'll keep Ms. Murray and Ms. Donadell far apart.
Yes, Your Honor. I'll speak with Mr. Spiesman about that.
Okay. So Ms. Murray, here's what I understand is going to happen. I'm going to make some notes here. Your lawyer will get to the prosecutor today proof that you completed anger management. And then Ms. Hall will let your lawyer know today where this $1,000 needs to go. And we'll check the box that you've done a third of it. And then you are committing that by the end of March, you'll be able to pay the remainder. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Spiesman, if something comes up that makes that not possible, please let Ms. Hall know. If by the end of March, when this case is back on the calendar, everything has been taken care of and you can document that for Ms. Hall, neither you, Mr. Spiesman, nor Ms. Murray needs to dial back in. If Ms. Hall tells us everything's good, then she'll authorize or give the green light for me to dismiss the case. Okay?
Thank you, Judge. We appreciate that. And sorry it's taken a bit longer than expected.
All right. Well, it's strange times without the cold. So that's what we'll do. We'll further notice this to late March inquiry calendar. And ideally by then, everything will be all set. Are you working, Ms. Murray?
Yes, sir, I am.
What do you do?
I work at State Farm. I'm a claim handler for auto.
Okay. Well, hopefully your tax refund will get this off your back and get the funds to Ms. Donadell. Anything else, Ms. Hall?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
Okay.
And
Mr. Spiesman, anything else?
Sending me an email with how you'd like payment to be made in what form. I'll respond with the anger management certificate, so you have that for your records as well.
Okay, I'll do that today.
All right, I put my email in the list. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Bye, Judge. Thanks.
You're welcome. All right, let's take care of Mr. Carr, position 8. That's your client, Mr. Jones. Is he
Yes,
on
Your
the
Honor.
call?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Judge, he has completed the anger management. I have the proof, and I'll be glad to send it to Ms. Hall today.
Okay, I'm just calling his case up now. This will be faster since the application is open. I think it's coming out of the witness stand. That's where I'm hearing it. So Mr. Carr needed to complete an 8-week anger management course, not 8-hour, but 8-week. And you're saying he's completed that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, is Mr. Carr on the call?
Judge, I don't think he is. He's not very technically savvy, but he understood what we were doing today.
Okay, that's fine. You're here. That's the important part. So can you please get to Ms. Hall that documentation? Or do you have it, Ms. Hall?
I don't have
thought
it yet.
we'd send it to her, but I'm not sure.
Ms. Hall, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I say I don't have it yet. Did you already send it to me, Mr. Jones?
Cassie, I thought we did, but these strange times, so I'll send it to you again.
No problem.
Will you be sending it electronically or through US mail?
I'll try to do it electronically. I think I have Cassie's email address.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, that'd be great.
All right, we will do the same thing with Mr. Carr's case. We won't put it at the end of March, but with a notice calendar, so that next cycle of notice, we'll put Mr. Carr back on for inquiry. If between now and then, Ms. Hall, you get what you need from Mr. Jones, please let Ms. Nelson know and we'll call it off.
Okay.
Thank you. Good to see you all.
All right, thank you.
I think that's all I have, Judge. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. All right. How about Leticia Hart?
Morning, Your Honor.
There's Ms. Porter. You look like you're in your car. Hope you've pulled over.
I am. I have.
Good. Let me get this case up. All right, so Ms. Hart needed to complete a theft class. How are we doing with that, Ms. Porter?
She has completed an online theft class as was requested. I sent the paperwork over to Ms. Hall, but I didn't get a confirmation, so I'm not 100% sure if she received it.
Ms. Hall?
Got you. I'm sorry, I'm doing too much at one time. Yes, Your Honor, I received the confirmation from Ms. Porter. I just hadn't sent over the no pros to Ms. Nelson, but we will be no pros in that case.
Got it. Ms. Hart, it sounds like you took the class you needed to take. I hope it was helpful and not just a way to pass the time. But because you did that, the state will follow up with its promise, which is to get some paperwork to me so that I can dismiss the charges in your case, okay?
All right, thank you. Am I done?
You got somewhere you need to be?
No, sir.
Okay, then why don't you just sit tight for a sec.
Okay.
Ms. Porter, anything else in Miss I'm Real Busy Hart's case?
No, Your Honor. I think she may have to work later this morning, though. But no, everything is fine as long as Ms. Hall has the paperwork. I would just ask that the court accept the null process and we be able to move forward.
We'll do that. I'll look for that from Ms. Hall, and Ms. Hart, you are free to go to whatever is pressing.
Thank you.
Your Honor,
All right.
that's all
Thank you,
I have.
Mr. Warner.
Thank you.
All right, let's turn to our inmates. Ms. Snyder, are you handling both Browns?
Yes, sir.
One of them, the attorney, was Terrell Dark, who is a colleague of yours. Okay. Are you comfortable if we start bringing them out? Okay. So we're going to do Benjamin Brown next, Ms. Hall.
That was it, Judge.
That was it?
Yep.
Look at that. All right. Now, if you could just fix that fire alarm.
Snyder, just remember that microphone on the other side is not going to pick you up very well.
Okay. That may be, I know some judges but they don't have this equipment. Maybe they have this equipment now. Some judges have been struggling with the witness stand and just been getting some emails from, how do you get the witness? So maybe they did that as the default to deal with it. Who knows? Exactly. Okay, so then that means one of the steps will be to turn that off. Because you don't have enough to do already. Okay. All right. Good morning, Mr. Brown.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, you, sir?
I am okay. You were I'm Judge McBurney, and you were on a plea and arraignment calendar about a month ago, but the in-court hearing was canceled. I don't remember why. It's not your fault, but either we had issues, maybe there was lockdown at the jail, or the courthouse was not open because there were concerns that there might be unrest in the streets. So we got you back on the next available calendar. And this is your first appearance having been indicted. You may have appeared in front of a magistrate judge after you were arrested or whatnot, but your case has been indicted. You're charged with aggravated assault. It's been assigned to me. Ms. Snyder is your attorney. And I just need to find out from Ms. Snyder if Mr. Brown wants to be formally arraigned or if he's waiving arraignment, and then we'll get a scheduling order out so his case can start moving along.
We're going to waive formal arraignment. He's not guilty, go forward.
Okay. It looks like some discovery is out there. It says initial, so who knows how much that is, but you should have some of the paperwork, and then you and Ms. Hall can work on the rest. Ms. Hall, is there anything in Benjamin Brown's case that you want to share?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Brown, what's going to happen next is your lawyer, Ms. Snyder, will continue to get discovery, evidence that the state says it has, and she'll be sharing that with you. and the two of you will be talking about what's the right next step in your case. Are there going to be motions to file? I don't know anything about your case, but if the police sees something from you, maybe there'd be a motion to suppress. Is it a case that you want to work out? Well, you'll talk about that with Ms. Snyder, and then she'll talk with the prosecutor. Or is this something that needs to get to trial? And then we'll do what we can to get you a trial. Okay? Any questions for me? Not at this time. No, sir. All right. Well, Ms. Snyder will be in touch with you. You're in good hands, and we will see you at whatever the right next time is. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Snyder, you'll fill out a waiver of arraignment form? Okay. Thank you. Are you ready for Antonio Brown? Ms. Hall, we're going to bring Antonio Brown out now. Ms. Snyder, do you already have a client in the Max Pritchett case? It's a bunch of defendants, and a lot of the defendants have private counsel.
I was looking at that, and I don't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and look at the notes I wrote on the calendar.
Okay. Because Mr. Pritchett no longer has counsel, and it may be that it's the PD who's up next. I don't know. I don't remember, but we're patching in with him, Department of Corrections, to see what he is planning.
Appreciate you. I'm good. How are you? Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Brown.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Well, how you?
I'm okay. Today is your final plea date, which is when we have a conversation about, is this case working out, or is it something that should go to trial? Ms. Snyder, any reason why we cannot have that discussion right now?
No, sir. There is a few items of digital discovery that I am missing, and I think it's just they got lost in the mail somewhere between my office moving and all that kind of stuff. But the state is asking for a significant time. So I believe we can go forward to a trial calendar, but we are still trying to work it out once I get that digital stuff. So I would just ask if maybe we could keep his final plea rights open, but just move it towards the trial calendar.
Okay, I think that makes sense. The things that you're missing, you recall having seen before and you've misplaced them?
No, I know they exist in the police report, but when I was given the digital stuff, it was only one part of it, and I think it was for consent, and then it somehow.
What's an example of something that you're missing?
His recorded statement, the co-defendant's recorded statement, the interview with the complaining witness.
Okay.
All that kind of stuff.
Okay. Ms. Hall, I don't know if you were able to hear Ms. Snyder. The microphone is actually over on Mr. Brown's side. Were you able to hear any of that?
I was, Your Honor.
Okay. What Ms. Snyder is requesting is that we do move the case towards a trial calendar, which is the right next step. She'd like Mr. Brown's final plea rights to remain open. And it sounds like she's going to reach out to you to have you perhaps resend some of the digital discovery. I know that's a familiar refrain, but we've had a lot of moving parts, including an entire moving office for the conflict defender. Is that something you'll be able to help Ms. Snyder out with?
Yes, Your Honor. We've spoken about it, and I've already put that in the works. So yes.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Then Mr. Brown, what we're going to do is figure out how soon we can get your case on a trial calendar. That doesn't mean you're going to trial. You ultimately make that decision. And if you and Ms. Snyder are able to negotiate something with the state, you can take a plea whenever you're ready. And it may be that it's not a negotiated plea. It may be that you guys agree to disagree, and the state's going to recommend this number, and you want Ms. Snyder to recommend that number, but you know you don't want a trial, and we can do a non-negotiated plea. But you will maintain your final plea rights, which means the big part is if you take a plea and you don't like the sentence that I give you, and that sentence is higher than what you asked for, then you can withdraw your plea, no questions asked, and have a trial instead.
Yes, sir.
So That's what we'll do in theory next, but at a minimum, we'll get you on a trial calendar. You've been sitting in jail for a long time, and we need to make sure we get closure, whether that means trial or a plea, okay?
Yes, sir.
Any questions about anything?
No, sir.
All right, well, we will get you on a trial calendar and get you back here as soon as we can. We're hoping to start jury trials in just a few weeks. They'll start slowly, but then they'll get moving, and that'll help move your case along. Ms. Snyder, anything else on behalf of Mr. Brown? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Franklin, are you ready on Mr. Dean?
Yes, sir.
Great. Is he in the same situation as Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Say, I'm sorry, can we clarify, Judge? Same situation as in you're missing stuff, Mr. Franklin, or?
Well, we'll get that.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it sounds like we're not sorting it out today. We're ready for Mr. Dean when you are. Morning. You take a seat right there. Mr. Dean, Mr. Franklin fully intended to be here, but because of the temperatures, there was a notice that went out saying court doesn't start till 10. And so Mr. Franklin was going to be here at 10. We were able to start a little earlier because the deputies got you guys over here and some other folks were online. And so Mr. Franklin was at his office getting his paperwork when he got the word that we were starting up. So he is not trying to stay away from you. He meant to be here, but we can handle this faster if he stays at his office rather than waiting for him to come over here. But he was planning on being here when we thought we were going to start. We just were able to start a little earlier. Are you comfortable having a conversation while Mr. Franklin is remote? He's there on the screen. You can see him and hear him.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what we're going to do today, Mr. Dean, is figure out, are you working your case out or should we move your case to a trial calendar? Mr. Franklin, what is the defense announcement?
Your Honor, so as you're aware, we had a bond hearing on Mr. Dean a week or so ago. He had been in state custody for essentially about a year, most of the time that I've represented him. So our communication has been limited to when he got back to Rice Street, which was around December 30th or December 20th or something like that. I don't believe I have any issues with discovery at this point, but I've not had a great deal of communication with my client. Based on the tone of conversations I've had with Ms. Hall at this point, I don't think that we're at a spot where we would be able to enter a plea today. And so I would generally be asking for another final plea reset for the fact that we, he's essentially a new client to me in many ways. However, I understand the co-defendant is going forward towards the trial calendar and being able to maintain his final plea rights. And we think that we can navigate the situation if we're afforded the same privileges.
Okay. I understand the request. These are serious charges, and Ms. Hall made clear that the state's offer is a serious offer as well. And so that means you, Mr. Franklin, need time to work with Mr. Dean to get him comfortable and get you comfortable with potential outcomes in the case, whether it's a trial or a plea. So I think what I'll do is keep Mr. Dean's case moving on track with Mr. Brown's. We'll get this onto a trial calendar, but Mr. Dean will have his final plea rights preserved. Certainly, if between now and whenever that mythical trial calendar can be published, you and Mr. Dean are ready to try to resolve the case, we can get everyone together to do that. But the next date certain would be when we are in a position to call a trial calendar just for this division, or we reach a point where we can add cases to a larger court-wide calendar with multiple defendants. So I think that's where we'll be. Does that work for you, Ms. Hall?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and it sounds like Mr. Franklin is all squared away with discovery. He just needs time, understandably, to work more with Mr. Dean face-to-face rather than over a phone through Department of Corrections. Mr. Franklin, anything else in Mr. Dean's case? You're muted for some reason. It doesn't say mute.
I'm sorry. I have an external microphone that I've tapped to keep background noise from picking up. I said, unless there's anything else from Mr. Dean, no. Mr. Dean, I'll see you later on this week at the jail.
You good? You have a question?
Yes, sir.
He does have a question. What's your question, Mr. Dean?
Sir, on the bond on the interfering with government property, I was never posted a bond on that.
Okay, that wasn't before me. What was before me was this case. So if that's something that we need to talk about.
You made mention of the fact that so he cut the interference with government property is what he picked up while he was in custody. And you
I remember he broke a door or a window on a door or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think what he's referring to is you made a comment, something to the effect of, since you're giving a bond on the substantive charges, the major case stuff, that you wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to continue to be held on if he could make bond on the other half, that he shouldn't be held on the interference with government property.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to look into it. I don't know anything about that case other than what you mentioned, Mr. Franklin, in your presentation, to include, I don't know the CP number. So if someone wants to get me some of that information, I'm happy to look into it. And if I've got questions, let you and Ms. Hall know.
The CP number is 21 CP 196766.
Okay. I will look at that and see if we need to get everyone together, or at least the lawyers together with me, and let you know.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Dean, anything else?
No, sir.
All right. So this case will move to the trial calendar as well, and we will take it from there. Thank you. So we're done with the inmates. You guys can let your team know. They can process them however they want from here on out. All right, Max Pritchett, we need to wait until 11, so we're making good time. Next up would be Darius Brooks. Ms. Snyder, that is your client. And this was another one where the courthouse was closed. He may be online. I don't know. We've got some unidentified like iPhone and things like that. Darius Brooks, you out there?
Maybe the line to get in the building was around the courthouse.
Oh, there's a big line. Okay, we'll hold.
I won't get in.
Okay, let's shift to Willie Todd.
Good morning, Judge. That's my case. ADA Patel.
Hello, Ms. Patel. And Mr. Nord.
Judge, excuse me, I'm also on Zoom with Henry County Superior Court, so I'm jumping back and forth here.
Okay, busy guy.
But I am ready. It's just a motion to modify the conditions of bond. Would be asking for the ankle monitor to be removed.
All right, I'm just calling the case up. Hold on a sec. Is Mr. Todd on the call?
Yes, Judge, that's him, is the iPhone.
Okay.
Yeah,
How you doing, Mr. Todd?
I'm all right. How you doing?
I am okay. So, Mr. North, your request is that I modify the bond. I'm looking at it now. He is supposed to have no contact with Ms. Mott or her sisters or their mother, and he's supposed to wear an ankle monitor. And that order was entered many months ago,
August 5th, Judge.
over 6 months ago.
Yes, Judge.
So Mr. Todd has been on an ankle monitor for over 6 months. Ms.
That's
Patel,
correct, Judge.
do you have any information that there were any issues with Mr. Todd complying with the conditions of bond?
Yes, Your Honor, I spoke with the ankle monitoring company. They said that there were no violations, just I think he has back payments of about 2 or 3 months.
So he may owe some money, but they have no information that would suggest Mr. Todd was not complying with the conditions.
That is correct.
Okay. And what's your view as to whether I should relax this condition of bond?
Well, Your Honor, I would like to represent that the victim has said that she does feel more comfortable with the ankle monitor on the defendant. She says that it gives her a sense of, there's a piece of knowing that where he is, because she does live in fear of him. And because the initial bond conditions were agreed upon, I guess with the idea that Mr. Todd would be able to afford it, that this was the condition for him being released from jail. We ask that Your Honor not modify the bond motion at this time.
Can you remind me, Ms. Patel, what connection Mr. Todd allegedly has with Ms. Mott or Ms. Mott's family?
I can pull that up, Your Honor. One moment.
And Mr. North, while Ms. Patel's looking, you're free to chime in. I don't remember, this was many months ago, if Mr. Todd and Ms. Mott's mother were in a relationship, or what was it allegedly that would have had Ms. Mott and Mr. Todd in the same space?
I think I'd let Mr. Todd speak to that. I think him and his wife, Lucretia, can speak
Okay.
to that better than I can.
So, Mr. Todd, how were you connected in any way to Ms. Mott's family?
Well, me and my, we was in a 10-year relationship, so that's how.
You and Ms. Mott's mother were in a relationship?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you still in that relationship?
Sir?
Are you still in that relationship?
No, we're not in a relationship. We haven't been in a relationship in like 2 years.
Okay. All right. But that's how you would have been around Ms. Mott, is that you were her mother's boyfriend?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Got it. And I don't have an address for you in the bond. What part of town do you live in?
Still on the west side of Atlanta.
Okay.
MLK.
Off MLK?
I'm happy to provide the address, Judge, if you'd like.
Like, is it just it's off MLK?
It's on MLK, Judge.
Okay. So, Ms. Patel, Ms. Mott and her family, do they live anywhere near MLK?
They do not.
Okay. And do you or Ms. Rolak have anything from Ms. Mott's family that you want to add beyond what you've already shared with me about the Ms. Mott's understandable concern?
I do not. After speaking with Ms. Mott and Ms. McKibbins, I'm not sure if Ms. Rolak does.
Good morning, Judge. I'm sorry I do not, Judge. I am no longer the advocate on this type of case.
Okay. So there are some cases that will be in this division for which you are not the advocate.
This is correct, Judge. It
Which
is still in transition.
Okay. So cases with child victims, you will not be the advocate.
That's
What
correct.
about domestic violence cases?
Judge, I believe I will be doing major case.
Just major case?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Do we know who will be the advocate for all of Ms. Hall's cases?
No, I do not know that, Judge.
Ms. Hall wants to know too. Okay, well, that's, I guess, hopefully you're happy with that. I'm not, but of course, I'm not the district attorney. So that's,
Oh, sorry, Judge. We do have a advocate assigned for I guess this case, Amanda Turner. So she also made contact with the victim. We both spoke with them.
okay. And I'm sure Ms. Turner is wonderful. That wasn't my point. It just is going to be tricky to have multiple advocates having to know when to dial in and all that, but that is a management decision. And we'll see how that plays out.
Excuse
All
me,
right.
Judge.
Pardon
But
me?
I haven't had no context with them people, none whatsoever.
Okay,
No
Mr.
one
Todd,
said you had.
I hear you. No one was saying you had. We went on a little side note there that had nothing to do with you, as I was trying to understand the new approach to the victim advocates with the district attorney's office. And I think I better understand it now. So,
But I would never, like I said, I would never pull up on them and have no type of context with them. So
good. That's how you need to keep it.
and I really do need to monitor out because I can't afford it. I work for a temp service. I'm making $14 an hour. Then
Okay.
she getting she have me on child support, so she getting like
Mr. Todd, we gotta
60%.
wait for when the court requests us to address them. We can't start talking in the middle of it. We've got to wait for the appropriate time.
But I appreciate you sharing that. What are you doing for the temp service?
I'm working at a warehouse.
Okay.
I get paid every week. Check be like $500. She taking like 60% of my check every week.
Okay. You know
And
what?
I'm barely
Child support
paying rent.
is what child support is. It's a consequence of having kids. So that's going to continue to happen. What's important for you, Mr. Todd, is to continue having no contact. I am going to modify your bond. I will remove the ankle monitor requirement because you have logged over half a year with no issues. I understand you haven't paid the ankle monitor company, but at least they didn't turn the ankle monitor off. They've continued to monitor it and there have been no issues. So we're going to try, emphasis on try, maintaining this situation with no ankle monitor. So you will need to keep doing what you're doing, having no contact with Ms. Mott or her family, working hard, keeping your head down and just maintaining like you have been. And I will modify your bond by removing that condition. What I'd like you to do, Mr. North, is to submit a proposed bond modification order in Word format to Ms. Nelson. Please copy Ms. Patel on that email so she can see the language, but it's not going to be particularly profound. It's going to modify the bond in only one way, and that is to remove the ankle monitor condition. Mr. Todd, as long as you understand that if you keep doing what you're doing, everything will be okay on the bond front, we'll be all right. But if I get information that you've started to change your routine because the ankle monitor's off, we may have to have another conversation, okay?
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, Judge.
Mr. North, anything else on behalf of your client?
Judge, can I just ask Ms. Nelson and Ms. Patel to put their emails in chat so I can make sure I have those?
Yes, I can do that.
They will zap it to you through chat. Ms.
I'll
Patel,
get that to you
anything
all
else in Mr. Todd's case?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you both for dialing in. Mr. North, once you get those email addresses, you're free to go. Mr. Todd, you are free to go.
All right. Thanks, sir.
We did Murray, we did Carr, we did Hart. He is. All right. Is Mr. Grover here? He is too. Fantastic. But let's do Mr. Brooks. Mr. Brooks, if you'd come on up and sit next to Ms. Snyder, please. Just looking at your case and we'll get going. Why does Mr. Brooks have another case? This is a non-complex case.
Excuse me. Also,
I believe it's a pornography offender.
Well, but I looked for that. It's not in the docket. Let me look at the pretrial assessment. Ms. Crawford, can you join us for a sec? Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm well. Did you have a good Valentine's Day?
Yes, Judge, I did.
Good.
How about yourself?
I did. I got a heart-shaped cake. It was very tasty. Mr. Brooks is here, and he's on our calendar. His charges are non-complex charges. And in fact, his accusation says non-complex on it. There's nothing in the docket that says anything about repeat offender. I'm wondering if you could let me know real briefly about Mr. Brooks's criminal history.
Okay, let me pull it up real quick. He doesn't have anything open or active, but let me pull the history up.
Okay. Mr. Brooks, we're just trying to figure out if you're in the right place. And I promise we'll hear from you as well.
no problem, McBurney. Thank you.
Okay.
It's good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Judge, I had sent an email out back in January, and it looks like Ms. Patel conflicted off the case and said it belonged to Ms. Schneider. I'm trying to figure out how it got to us before that.
Okay. And Ms. Snyder's right here. She's handling it. But if Mr. Brooks doesn't have 3 prior convictions or 5 prior convictions, whatever the threshold is, he should be in non-complex.
Okay, Judge, looking at his history, he does have 3 prior felony convictions. The first one is from 2011 from Douglas County. The second one is 2012 out of Fulton County. And the last one will be 2015 out of Carroll County.
Okay. I don't remember enough about the repeat offender. I thought they had to be more recent than that.
Yes, 3 and 5 years, Your Honor, or 5 in a lifetime. And so we wouldn't qualify.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look and see if we had a transfer order. I didn't see any. And I have those same 3 convictions.
Okay. So my thought is, but Ms. Snyder, I'll let you and Mr. Brooks talk about it. My thought is we get Mr. Brooks's case in non-complex. But if you think there's some benefit to him being here, I'll keep it. I'm not afraid of the case. I just don't want Mr. Brooks to go through this division if he should be in non-complex. Because none of these is within the last 5 years. How old are you, Mr. Brooks?
I'm 31, sir.
31. All right. So do you want a chance to talk with Mr. Brooks, or you're going through the folder there?
Yeah, all I have is warrant so far. I thought I had them written down by why I thought it was in here, but now I don't.
Why don't you two talk about the pros and cons of being here or non-complex? And if you want to stay here, we can do the arraignment piece. If you think it makes sense for Mr. Brooks to be a non-complex, I'll do a transfer order. Okay? And we'll work with Mr. Grover. Mr. Franklin, were you going to handle Mr. Grover's case? I see you're still on the call. I don't see Ms. Patel.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Mr. Grover, you can come on up. Why don't you just come to the podium? All right. Can you see Mr. Franklin on the screen there?
Yes, sir.
All right. He's with the Public Defender's Office. Here's what I understand is going on with your case. You were sentenced on a burglary case in October of 2011. So almost 10 years ago. You got 20 to serve 2.5 years with the balance on probation. While you were on probation for 17.5 years, you were supposed to get your GED, complete what we call the Metro Atlanta Day Reporting Center, pay $1,000 in restitution. Way back in 2013, there were notices made that you stopped showing up at the Day Reporting Center. You haven't paid any of the restitution, and it doesn't look like you demonstrated the probation that you had gotten your GED. So that's 8 years ago, 7.5. A judge 4 years ago signed this warrant that I got in front of me saying, Mr. Grover has not been doing well with probation for all these reasons I mentioned. You stopped going to the Day Reporting Center, haven't done your restitution, et cetera. That judge is not a judge anymore. He's retired. So I don't know anything about your case other than what I just shared. Plus one more thing. Probation did catch up with you, and you told them, actually, things are going well. I'm working. I've stayed out of trouble, and they verified that. You haven't been in trouble for a decade. And so things are going well. You just seem to have left probation behind you, which wasn't supposed to happen.
Right.
And so we need to work through today what to do about this warrant. So I'm going to let Mr. Franklin talk a little bit. I'm going to hear from Ms. Hall, who's the prosecutor. And then if there are things that you want to add, I'll certainly hear from you as well. I'll let you know up front so you don't need to be overly stressed. My thought is if you're doing well, we should keep you doing well. But you do need to deal with the restitution, do need to deal with the GED. And so we'll talk about it. But I need to get a comfort level that you're doing well and not just saying you're doing well. Okay? Yes, so, Mr. Franklin.
Thank you, Judge. So this is actually my meeting with Mr. Grover. Because he was listed on the calendar as a walk-in and because it's such an old case, I had no prior contact with him. But I did have a chance to review the file, review the warrant, and look up his record. And at least from what I can tell in Fulton County, this was his only conviction. Perhaps Ms. Crawford could clarify whether there were convictions from other counties. But aside from that, I'm not aware, and I'm sure there may have been a reason, but I'm not sure why the sentence was so heavy for what would appear to be a first burglary conviction, the 20-year probation. Without having spoken to Mr. Grover, I will say, and I think the court is also familiar, it is very rare that we're able to come across someone who's able to stay out of trouble for that period of time. And if the only issues are going to be that he has not provided proof of completing his GED or that he didn't complete MADRC, I would argue that his lack of contact with the criminal justice system would lead me to believe that MADRC may not have been as necessary as we once thought, and certainly the GED requirement. I guess we can figure out if he's working or whatnot, but certainly my overarching argument would be that he's shown that he's deserving of maintaining his freedom, and we want to make sure that he does not take it from him because of things that are more technical in nature than criminal.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense. Ms. Hall, before I hear from you, Ms. Crawford, what can you share about Mr. Grover's criminal history?
Judge, Mr. Grover has one prior, two priors, the one in Fulton County that we are meeting about. Then he has a 09 case out of DeKalb County, which was a first offender case.
What were the charges?
Burglary for 4/7/1/2012.
Okay, got it. Ms. Hall, I'm going to ask Mr. Grover a few questions, assuming that's okay with Mr. Franklin, before I hear from you. Is that okay?
That's fine, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Mr. Grover, you're living in the Atlanta area now?
Yes, sir.
House, apartment?
House,
Okay. Your house or someone else's?
my sister,
Your sister's house? Who else lives in the house with you?
my mama, and my niece, and my nephew, my son,
So your sister's kids, she's got 2 kids,
3.
3 kids, and then you've got 1 kid?
I got 2, but I just got my son with me though.
How old is your son?
4, he'll be 5 in September.
Okay. And who looks after him when you're not at home?
Sometimes my mama and sometimes my sister, or he'll go home with his mom.
Okay. And where's your other kid?
She stay in Athens.
Okay. With her mom?
Yes.
Got it. But your son's mom is here in the Atlanta area?
Yes.
Okay. And how long have you lived at your sister's house?
I ain't been there that long. How long I been there, Mom? About 2 months.
Where'd you live before that?
Well, I was staying with my baby mama, but
Things got complicated? Okay. Is there room for you and your son at your sister's house?
Yes.
Okay. Does your sister work?
Yes.
What does she do?
She a manager at what they call chicken salad chick.
Chicken salad chick.
My mom, she worked there too.
Okay.
My
Is your
other-
mom a manager there also?
No.
Does your mom work for your sister? Oh, that's interesting. All right. Which chicken salad chick? The one up Roswell Road?
Yes, sir.
Okay, your popular place. You have probably given chicken salad to my wife. She's a big fan. All right. And how long has your sister worked there?
A couple days ago was her first her year anniversary.
Great. Okay. And do you work?
Yes.
What do you do?
I remodel houses.
Do you do that on your own, or you work for a company that does that?
I do it on my own, but I work for this man, his name Dante. I've been working with him for since 2014, 2015.
Okay.
He like a self-contractor. So he'll just go get the job and he'll call me to come do some work. You know what I mean? I'll go.
And what do you do specifically?
I do it all. Paint, sheetrock, tile, flooring.
So Dante will get a remodeling contract
Yes,
on
sir.
a house, and then he'll reach out and say, hey, Mr. Grover, we need some tiling here. You're in there and you're doing the tiling.
I'm in there and I'm doing it.
Do you work solo or do you have a crew?
He got sometimes he'll have 2, 3 other people in there, or sometimes it just be me and him.
Okay. So Dante does some of the work himself.
Yes, sir.
How did you meet him?
When I was staying in Dixie Hill Apartments.
Okay. And does Dante pay you cash? Does he?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But you've been working with him for a while.
Yes, sir.
Would you say you do 10 hours a week, 80 hours a week? How much work does he give you?
A lot.
You're busy.
A lot.
Okay. But is a lot, are you working 5 days a week or are you working 2 days a week?
Sometimes it can be 5, sometimes it can be 3, sometimes it can be 1. You feel me? It all depends on how fast we get this job done so he can get on to the next.
But he has enough jobs that usually each week you're working?
I'm busy.
Okay. And are you paying some rent to your sister or how do you help out there?
She don't ask me for nothing.
Okay.
She just tell me to do what I'm doing. Just stay out of trouble, brother. That's all she tell me.
Well, out of trouble is a good thing. So where does your
Take care of them children. That's all she asks.
Okay. Where does your money go?
On my children.
Okay. Are you paying child support or you have an understanding with your kids' moms?
No child support.
Okay. So you help out as they ask and as you are able.
I do it because.
Yeah. But I mean, there's not a legal written agreement where you have to pay
Oh
$209.
no, sir. No, sir.
So tell me what happened. You were going to MADRC and then you weren't going to MADRC.
Man. I got caught back up. I ain't even gonna sit here and lie to you. I got caught back up in the streets. And then that program, it was like every day.
It was every day. That was the point.
And then it was like I couldn't get used to it. You feel? I ain't gonna lie, I couldn't get used to it. So I just stopped going. I just stopped. I just stopped. I knew I was gonna have one eventually. You feel me? But it was a choice I made just to stop going. You feel me?
Okay. So what got you out of the streets? If you left the program and started doing the streets again, you're not now. What changed?
Well, within that time, I had them kids. My daughter 5, my son 4. So that changed a lot. When I first had my little girl, that stopped it right there. You feel me? I couldn't be in the streets how I was before I had my children.
Well, I mean, you could. Some people do, but you didn't.
I chose not to.
Okay.
They need me in the streets more than I'll be locked up, right?
Yeah, that's how it often plays out. So how did your daughter end up in Athens?
That's where that's where they stay. That's where they from. She from Athens.
So how'd you meet her mom? In Athens or in Atlanta?
I met her in Athens while I was incarcerated, sir.
Oh, what were you meaning on your sentence here in this case? Okay. That's a funny world. Was she working in the prison?
No.
She was an inmate? You don't get to be around.
She was somebody, my homeboy had a girl and she was a friend and I talked to her on the phone. She started looking out for me and
when you got out, she was there for you.
Yeah, when I got out, she was there. And I told her when I was gonna keep it real with her and mess with her when I got out. And that's what happened. And we had a baby.
You must be good on the phone. All right. So why should I be comfortable that things are going okay now? You walked away from the program. It wasn't for you. You knew a warrant was coming. Here's your warrant. Why shouldn't you have to deal with that?
Cause I feel like you said, I've been out of trouble for almost a decade. You know what I'm saying? And I was ready to get this, you know what I mean, get it over with. Cause I really basically I was tired of just moving how I moved, knowing I got a warrant. You feel me? I couldn't get no real job. I wasn't gonna get no real job because I know eventually they were gonna come get me from the job. So that's why I chose to just work with Dante. You know what I'm saying? Just to keep me stable and out the way. Just keep me out the way, period.
Okay. So.
And I was the one who got in contact with my probation officer.
Yeah, tell me how that happened.
And I told her, cause my mom and my sisters, they were like, brother, son, you need to go on and just handle it. You know what I'm saying? So I got on the phone, I called the probation office, and they told me who my probation officer was, Miss Evans. And we'll talk every now and then. She'll call me, I'll call her. And she was like, Mr. Gore, I just need you to stay out of trouble. I'm gonna get you a court date from the street. I promise you. And I was like, how you gonna do that? And she did it.
Magic. And I guess you kept up your end of the bargain as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what do you think ought to happen? And you still owe this restitution. You got to take care of that.
Yeah, we gonna take care of that.
We don't look at me.
I'm talking about my family. We already don't talk about it.
Okay.
But I thought it was more than that though.
Well, it says on the petition it's $1,000. We can look up. It is whatever it is in your sentence. But So you think you'll be able to deal with something like that if you start paying a little bit at a time?
Yes, sir.
Especially if your sister's not making you pay rent. Let me see what I can find.
And I got a paper from Dante too. If somebody want to call him and talk to him, I got.
No, that'd be helpful.
I got
I'll
papers.
give it back to you, but that's.
I bought 2 on, so you
Okay.
can keep one. I'll keep one.
That's smart. You got your sentence commuted. You didn't have to spend the whole 2.5 years in.
Well, I got out a month early.
I don't know. I just got a commutation here. All right, here's the restitution hearing. She saw you walking by with her television. We're on probation. Cell phones and TVs. All right, she said $1,000. It was more, but the judge said $1,000. So that's the amount that you will need to pay. So you think you ought to stay out and keep working, take care of your kids. What about the GED? Is that something that you think would help you get a job, or is that sort of like MADRC? You don't see yourself going to classes? And be real, you've been straight with me. If getting a GED is the kind of thing you're just going to crash and burn, then it doesn't make sense. It certainly will help you if you're looking to get other jobs,
Right.
but that's the trade-off. You got to sit still for a little while to get it.
I think I can do it though. At my state of mind that I'm in now, I think I can handle it.
Okay. Mr. Franklin, we've learned as a group a bit more about Mr. Grover. What do you want to add?
Based on the conversation that we had, first off, I think Mr. Grover is extremely forthcoming and honest. And that's certainly something that I think should, and I think the court is taking it into consideration. His amount of time that he has stayed out of trouble definitely bodes well for him. I would make a request that he be continued on probation, that the fees and arrears for probation be deleted, that he be required to make the payment of restitution, and that once restitution is made, that his probation be allowed to be terminated.
All right. Ms. Hall, what are your thoughts?
Your Honor, honestly, almost exactly the same as Mr. Franklin's. We've been texting while listening to everything that's been going on in the defendant's life. And my initial thought was to terminate the probation at all. I forgot all about the restitution. That we don't get a lot of stories like this one. And most of our probation with burglaries would be over at this point. He does have 10 years, 1 month and 5 days remaining. But seeing as though there's been no additional criminal history since this case, and he didn't comply, but complying with the community is important as well. And so I'm in agreement, and I feel that once he completes his GED and pay back the restitution, which is important to the victim, that the remaining probation be terminated.
Okay. Did you follow all that, Mr. Grover?
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to add a little bit to that just because your choices have consequences. But I will say that you have turned, it seems like, an important corner because of your kids, and that's great. I'm impressed with that. You need to be real grateful, and I trust you are almost every day, about your sister and your mom, because it sounds like they are doing their best to head you in the right direction.
They've been there since day one.
They saw that you weren't early on. It sounds like you were running a little wild with these back-to-back burglaries and this and that, and you calmed down a little bit. But you know yourself, and you figured out that day reporting center wasn't working out for you. Walking away from it wasn't necessarily the right way to do it, but that's how you did it. I get it. So my thought is we keep you on probation only as long as is necessary, which would be to pay off the restitution. And you don't pay that all at once because you've got 2 kids to take care of, and you got to stay dressed in your khaki. And you need to get this GED. That's the one that's going to help you. The restitution helps the young lady whose TVs you took. But the GED means this warrant off your back. You want to be good to Dante, but you can be looking for other options and see if there are other things you can do to give you other job opportunities. So I would like to see a copy of the Dante paperwork. If you give that to the deputy, he'll get it to me. Thank you. So you signed it, he didn't. Who wrote this?
I wrote it. I mean, he wrote it and I signed it.
And then you signed it. Okay. All right. So I do find that you violated the terms and conditions of your probation. So I am going to revoke your probation, but that just means we're filling out a form, and that means we can take care of this warrant. Then I'm going to reinstate the balance of your probation. So you still have 10 years left, but I'm going to modify the conditions of your probation. Number 1, you no longer have the condition of completing MADRC. That doesn't make sense to put you in there now. I think it made sense at the time. You had told Judge Downs that you had I don't know if it was a habit or a desire to smoke marijuana, but we're going to move past that. You still need to get your GED. You still need to pay the $1,000 in restitution. I don't know what the right verb is, Ms. Crawford, but we're going to cancel or clear the arrearage Mr. Grover has on his supervision fees. That was something in the petition that he was behind on his supervision fees. We're going to wipe that clean, but he will need to pay supervision fees once he's back on active probation. So starting in a few days. And just as a consequence of you doing what you did, you're going to need to do 80 hours of community service. Again, like the restitution, you don't have to do that right away. Over time, you'll take care of that community service. So community service as a consequence for walking away from day reporting center, pay that restitution, stay employed, which you want to do because that's how you take care of the folks you care about, and get your GED. When you've paid off the restitution and you've gotten your GED, and you've done your community service, we'll close your case out.
Yes,
so you can drag it out, it'll be 10 long, unpleasant years, or you can get down to the business of paying the restitution, getting your GED, and taking care of the community service.
I'll take the second one.
Okay. That's how we'll structure it. I'm gonna wanna get some early updates on how things are going. So I want to make sure your address that we've got in the system is a good address, because I'm going to have you come back here in a few months.
Yes, sir.
So I can hear how things are going. So I have 2 different addresses. I've got one on Hollywood Road and one on Ackridge Street. Is either of those the right address for you?
That Ackridge Street, that was my baby. That was I was just staying at, but my sister address 1321 Memorial Drive.
So what I'm gonna get you to do, can you, Ms. Snyder, can you see if there's a change of address form over on the jury box wall? Please. Thank you.
No, ma'am.
Do you need a pen?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Snyder, do you have an extra one or do you need one? Okay. If you'd fill that out so we've got the good address, and that needs to be where you're staying.
Yes, sir.
If you move, which is okay, you got to tell probation. The worst thing you could do out of all these things other than get arrested again would be to be hard to find.
Yes, sir.
I hear that. So, Mr. Franklin, what we're going to do is put Mr. Grover on a status or inquiry calendar in May, late May, maybe. He will come back here and give me an update. And he'll provide an update on what's happening with restitution and starting to move forward with the GED.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Hall, anything else in Mr. Grover's case?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
Mr. Franklin?
Nothing further. I did ask Ms. Snyder, and I think she may have just handed Mr. Grover my cell phone number, so he can give me a call on that at any time.
Yeah, so Mr. Franklin is going to be your go-to person. You're going to be coming back here in a few months. If something is not going well for you, not in your personal life, but with this case,
yes, sir,
you need to let Mr. Franklin know so he's not surprised when you come in 3 months. If you say, hey, you know what, Dante and I got sideways and he fired me, so I haven't been able to pay restitution because I haven't been working.
I got you.
Okay, life happens. But if the answer is, I've been making lots of money and I'm buying myself nice clothes and you haven't been paying restitution, that's going to be a problem. Okay?
I got you.
Any questions about anything? I need the piece of paper that has the address on it. Don't walk away with that.
And Mr. Grover, go ahead and when you get out of court, send me a text message and let me know what your number is.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're going to text Mr. Franklin with your number so he has a way of reaching you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And when I supposed to go see my probation?
Oh, right. That's a great point. Ms. Crawford is on the screen now. Let's hear what Ms. Crawford has to say.
Mr. Grover, you said your address was 1321 Memorial Drive. Is that Southeast Memorial Drive in Atlanta, Georgia?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to give you a reporting date 3 weeks out. Your officer is Miss Officer Evans. I've been in contact with her. She's in court right now also, but I'm going to give you 3 weeks out from today. So your report date will be, give me just a moment. And you know the address, right?
No, ma'am.
276
Oh, yeah.
Memorial. Yes, okay.
We've got
So
a form. Do you have one of these to give him? We've got this. Officer Malud created some form so we can give one to Mr. Grover. When do you need him to be there?
I need him to be there March the 9th at 10 a.m. And that's 3 Tuesdays from today. 3 weeks from today.
Yes, ma'am.
The Atlanta office?
Yes, 276 Memorial Drive.
Okay. So Ms. Snyder's going to give you a piece of paper that has all these details. Don't miss your first meeting. That would be starting off on the wrong foot.
I know it. Thank you, Mr. McBurney.
Hey, if you want to, you're welcome.
Franklin. Thank you, Ms. Hall. Thank you, Ms. Crawford.
You're welcome.
Mr.
You're
Franklin,
welcome.
I appreciate you, man. I'm going to hit you up when I leave out of here, man.
He says you're welcome. He's working on his microphone.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I said you're welcome, and I'll talk to you in a minute.
All right.
And thank Ms. Snyder for
Ms. Snyder.
pinch hitting. All right, so that gives you the directions on where you need to be and when. And we'll see you here, except it'll be a different courtroom because I'm moving, but it's in this building, just 7 floors up, in about 3 months. See how things are going.
You'll send a letter.
Yep, to this memorial address. That's why you need to not move on me, okay?
Gotcha.
All right, 1321 Memorial Drive.
Yes, sir.
Got it.
1321.
Sounds good.
My last question. When I walk out this door, that warrant ain't active no more, right?
It may take a minute to deactivate the warrant, but no one's gonna pick you up in this building. All right? So drive the speed limit. Don't have anything in your car you wouldn't want the police to see until the warrant gets lifted. But Mr. Franklin can let you know if you reach out to him in a couple days, he should be able to confirm that the warrant was canceled.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
You bet. It's been out there for a while. It'd be nice to have that warrant gone. You're welcome. Thanks for being here with your son. All right, Ms. Hall, we need to pivot to the Department of Corrections, but I think we managed to finish the rest of the calendar other than Mr. Pritchett.
Yes, Your Honor. I talked to Miss Snyder. She said she's planning to send it back to non-complex, and Mr. Pritchett is Kara's Convery's case, so she'll be waiting for you over there.
Fantastic. Mr. Brooks is still here. So Mr. Brooks, you want your case to go to non-complex?
All right.
Okay. So we'll take care of that piece. If for some reason they bounce it back, we'll get you guys back in here, but nothing about it says to me that it should be here. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. See you guys tomorrow.
All right, thank God. I got your card now.
Tomorrow there may still be weirdness with the temperatures. We don't have any inmates. So if you get an emergency text that says court is not starting until time X, we will not start until that time, Mr. Franklin. So you know, if I happen to get in here early, I'll just be in here early, but we won't have any inmates. So I won't be trying to get us up and running as soon as we can. I think court should start at the normal time, but in looking at the forecast, it's conceivable that folks would say, it's gonna be a little cold. Let's not start court till time X. That's not coming from me.
Court like at 1 o'clock tomorrow? Isn't it afternoon court anyway?
Yeah, it's 1:30.
Well, that'll make it easier.
Yeah.
I've got something tomorrow morning, but I guess that's not you guys. Oh no, that's the Southern Center for Human Rights. And I don't know who from the DA's office. It's an appellate issue. Yeah, we're on at 1:30, so that should be not as much of an issue. Okay, great. Thanks, everyone.
You're welcome.
Judge, I hope that we don't have a problem with the next hearing, because I did not realize I was going to have to inform IT that we were going to change over to WebEx, but I sent them a request, but my computer is stuck on the request, so I emailed it, and I don't know if they've gotten it yet, so.
Okay, well, I don't know that we need to take anything down. I'm going to dial into that WebEx and see what happens. I think we'll be okay.
I'll be joining in a minute.
All right, I'm going to end this one. Thanks, everyone.